Assalamualaikum and good morning to Miss Nur Fahani. Today we are from Group 2 want to present our assignment. The title of our assignment is The Process of Risk Assessment and Hazard. Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Hanifa binti Muhammad Fadilah. I'm from class DSM 4A. For our introduction, we choose Sapura Energy Berhad as shipping company for our journey from Kerteh Terengganu to Bintulu Port to bring the oil for process. As we know, Sapura Energy Berhad or Sapura Kencana Petroleum Berhad is a Malaysian firm that provide integrated oil and gas service, exploration, development, production, rejuvenation, decommissioning, and abandonment are part of Sapura Energy Berhad business. So this report going to explain the process of risk assessment and hazard related our journey. For our objective is number 1 is to able to recognize what's wrong as well as how and what is happening. By providing shipper with even the most rudimentary understanding of risk, they will able to grasp the step they must take to protect themselves and others. Number 2 is to improve emergency response times. It is vital to active an emergency reaction if the worst happen at sea. While each ship will have its own unique characteristic, the fundamental will stay the same. As a result, training commentary on how to respond calmly, correctly, and truthful is an emergency. How to collect and find out what action to do, and what role each individual play in the ship emergency reaction. Number 3 is to teach a person how to take personal responsibility. Safely is depend on making excellent decision despite the regulation, procedure, guideline, and good practice. And even when PPE is worn appropriately, sailor must understand their responsibility in making the best decision for their own safety and the protection of others around them. People who can recognize the problem, know how to deal with them, and do the right thing will be safer. And crew must be trained to understand their personality safety duty.
Hello, my name is Claudia Winnie Anagawan. I am from class DSM 4A. Today I'm going to present my assignment, which is to identify hazard. Hazard identifications mean the important thing in determining the action to be followed. Piracy of ships is one of the modern challenges of the maritime industry. Before entering any area that has been exposed to piracy, it is important to check the ship's safety plan based on the information that has been received. Frequent fire and explosion accident on board ship due to transporting large cargo with dangerous quantities. To prevent fire and explosion accidents, it is to analyze the factors that can cause accidents to occur. To prevent fire and explosion accident is to ensure adequate time and rest so that shippers adhere to work procedure and guidelines. Jettition means the disposal of part of the ship cargo for the ship. Jettition will occur when there is an emergency such as a storm while at sea. Therefore, some cargo will be dumped to stabilize the ship during storm events alone. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Amirul Darwis, GSM 4A. So I'm going to present about the assessment of the risk concern. Along the journey of our task, the probabilities of independent risks are piracy, fire, or explosion and jettison. Piracy will involve human risk and economic loss of our company. Piracy can have a huge impact on us. This will cause stress, anxiety to all crew including passengers. Any attack will expose to the risk of death or injury and can be frightening. If that happens, we may experience prolonged hardship following a pirate attack or being held hostage. When held hostage for ransom, abuse is frequent and often severe. These difficulties may come with a significant impact on job performance and other social costs. Second, fires. Fires often extinguish electricity on board, and it may not be repairable. This can result in passengers floating at sea with ships limited in their ability to transport them to safe places without power and lack of necessities. Since ships typically have narrow space filled with cargo and equipment, workers can be caught in an accident while navigating the ship during a fire. Collisions, falling cargo, tripping and falling into the sea and being caught by the fire are all possible scenarios. Workers on burning ship may suffer burns or injuries as a result of smoke inhalation. In this worst case scenario, a ship fire leads to death either directly from fire or smoke exposure or from going to sea and drowning or being exposed to cold weather and water. And the last one, jettison. This event is most likely to occur when there is an emergency such as a storm in the ocean. Therefore, the crew had to throw some cargo into the sea to lighten the ship in stormy conditions. As a result, there will be losses that need to be borne and slow down the journey. Even so, each time a jettison occurs, the vessel owner is entitled to a general average. This is a principle of law whereby all stakeholders will bear the same loss in the event of damage to any shipment regardless of who owns the goods. Losses will be shared pro rata for both the carrier and the cargo owner. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Aina Hafiza binti Mat Yusof. I want to present about application of the controls to reduce the risk of piracy, fire or explosion and jettison. To reduce the risk of piracy is the first one, concentrated on locations that are prone to piracy. This is because if focusing on the location or place prone to piracy, the ship's crew can take precaution throughout the voyage. Second, by ensuring that communication connections are accessible because communication is important, especially in an emergency. Lastly, the crew should inspect the ship before leaving port to ensure that no one has boarded without permission. This is because to avoid the incidents of piracy. Next is to reduce the risk of fire or explosion. First, ensure that the fire or oil flow pipes are in good conditions. This is because to avoid leaks that could lead in a fire or explosion. Second, hazardous items or materials that react with chemicals should not be placed near each other to limit the possibility of an explosion. It because in order to prevent accident, it becomes bigger. Lastly, it is necessary to ensure that equipment or machinery is always properly maintained to avoid explosion or fires, because if it is not properly maintained, it will cause a fire. Lastly is to reduce the risk of jettison. The first one is conducted by monitoring weather occurrences. This is because by doing research, it can postpone the journey if severe weather occurs along the way. Second, make sure the safety equipment was complete and remain functional. This can be useful in the case of emergency during the trip. Plus, make sure the communication devices such as radio are always turned on. This is to enable communication between the crew members easier in the case of emergency on board. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurhani Meki Hamizi. I'm from class DSM4B. Today I want to present about monitoring of the effective of the control. First of all, about monitoring and review should be a planned part of the risk management process and involve a regular rechecking of sewerage. Second, regular reverse risk identified in the from risk register. Next, recommend any action of event that change the status of a risk. For example, change to a risk evaluation as a result of improvements in controls. Next, a control breach and near miss should be looking at the time of the event. And the last, risk need to be monitoring so that management can act property if and when the natural potential impacts or likelihood of the risk goes outside acceptable levels. That's all for me. Thank you.
In our conclusion, the purpose of this assignment is to expand the danger and risk in dealing with situations such as piracy, fire or explosion and agitation. During the journey that bring crude oil from the Kertih, Terengganu to the port Bintulu, Sarawak will safely reach the destination with the planning report that has been studied. Based on our analysis, the objective of this assignment is to teach a person how to take responsibility. Safely is depend on making excellent decision despite the regulation, procedure guideline, and good practice. And even when PPE is worn, this is able to maintain a high level of quality standard is operation and function, and to equip employee with knowledge of existing safety feature. That's all from us. Thank you.